You know the drill, right? Mother's Day, International Women's Day, they pop up on the calendar every year, bringing flowers, brunches, and a whole lot of celebratory posts. They feel so familiar, so simple. But what if all those warm, fuzzy feelings are actually covering up a much more complex, and honestly, a way more fascinating story about politics, power, and a ton of unseen labor? Okay, let's get into it.
And we're going to start with a bombshell. That quote, it's not from some jaded blogger today. No, that's from Anna Jarvis, the very woman who founded Mother's Day in the US. See, she just wanted a simple day of personal connection. But instead, she spent the rest of her life and all of her money fighting against the commercial beast that she felt her holiday had become. She absolutely despised it.
So that just raises a huge question, doesn't it? If the day's own creator ended up hating what it turned into, then what are we really celebrating when we buy those flowers? What are the deeper layers of meaning, of politics, and power that are hidden just beneath the surface of that gift-wrapped box? That's what we're going to unpack.
To start, you've got to understand that these celebrations are rarely just about individual women. So often, they're about what the idea of a woman represents. And that symbol? Well, that can be an incredibly powerful political tool.
A perfect example of this is in Iran. There, Mother's Day is tied to the birth of Fatima, the Prophet Muhammad's daughter. Now, she's revered as this paragon of virtue, a really powerful and significant symbol. But here's the thing about symbols. They can be shaped to mean very different things to different people. And this is where it gets really interesting. During the Iranian Revolution, you had two major leaders using the exact same symbol of Fatima to push for two completely opposite futures for women. On one side, Ayatollah Khomeini emphasized her sacred, motherly role to promote a more traditional domestic ideal. On the other side, you had the intellectual Ali Shariati, who focused on her strength and her work ethic, arguing that she was a model for women to be active, productive members of society. I mean, same symbol, two totally opposing political visions. And you can see pretty clearly which vision ended up dominating the state's propaganda. Look at this poster from the Iran-Iraq War. Here she is, the idealized woman. Veiled, nurturing, the quiet pillar of support for the soldier and the next generation, all under the watchful eye of the nation's leader. It's the symbol, weaponized into a political statement. Okay, so let's shift gears from the symbolic to something much more tangible, though often it's just as invisible. And that's the actual work women do to hold our social and economic worlds together.
Researchers actually have a name for this. They call it kin work. And you know exactly what this is. It's that constant background hum of social labor that keeps families and communities connected. You know, remembering all the birthdays, sending the cards, planning the big holiday meals, buying the gifts. It's so often just dismissed as what women do, but make no mistake, it is absolutely a form of strategic social work. And now this unseen social power is colliding with some massive, very tangible economic power. By 2030, women in the U.S. are on track to control nearly $30 trillion in financial assets. Just let that number sink in. That is a figure almost as large as the entire annual GDP of the United States. But here's the crazy paradox. Women are on the verge of controlling all this wealth, yet look at their representation in the very industry that manages it all. They make up less than a quarter of certified financial planners. The numbers are even worse for portfolio managers and C-suite executives. There is this huge, profound disconnect between women's economic influence and their actual presence in the seats of financial power. So when you have disconnects like that, what happens? You get action. Because far from being just passive symbols or quiet laborers, women have always been at the forefront of activism. And days like International Women's Day, well, that's been their rallying point. Let's be clear, International Women's Day was never supposed to be just about brunch and mimosas. It has always had radical roots, from huge marches for equality in New York back in the 70s to the #MeToo movement flooding the streets of Seoul to fierce protests against femicide in Mexico City. The tools change, the locations change, but the core purpose is the same. It's a day for action, for demanding change. And that legacy of activism, it is absolutely alive and well today. It just takes the form of these massive, coordinated global efforts, like the UN's 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, which is a campaign designed to spark action all over the world. One of the most powerful recent campaigns from UN Women is called #ShineAlight. The whole idea is so simple but so profound. Use a light to break the silence, to expose the violence and insecurity that women face every single day. And what's really cool is seeing how a global message like this gets adapted for local impact.
In Turkey, the campaign used the hashtag #IShiktut, which means the same thing, and they used this powerful umbrella visual all over the country to create this unified, instantly recognizable call to action.
See, modern activism isn't just one thing. It's this sophisticated multi-front effort. The hashtag #ShineAlight campaign didn't just put up posters. No, it reached millions through the media, it partnered with tech groups to fight online violence, it got private companies like gas stations involved, and crucially, it actively mobilized young people.
And you can just feel the energy here at the Orange Summit in Turkey. This really shows how critical that youth engagement is. These are the activists who are carrying that legacy from the 1975 marches into the 21st century, but they're armed with new tools and that exact same determination.
So, after seeing the symbols, the work, and the activism, it's time for a pretty serious reality check. Why is all this effort still so desperately needed? Well, let's just look at the data.
24. That's the number of women who die every single day in Afghanistan from preventable causes related to pregnancy and childbirth. Every single day.
And this danger isn't just in countries with fragile health systems. Globally, a woman is killed every 10 minutes. And the most horrifying part of that statistic, for the majority of them, the violence happens where they should be the safest, in their own homes.
So, when you zoom out and look at the big picture, at the UN's global goal for achieving gender equality, the progress report is not good. The data shows that only one single indicator is considered on track. Several are just stagnating or barely moving, and for a huge chunk of them, we don't even have enough data to know where we stand. It's dangerously slow.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Back to Anna Jarvis and her simple handwritten note. It's easy to buy the card, it's easy to post about the symbol, but behind all that simplicity is a world of invisible labor, a political struggle, and urgent, unfinished work. So the real question these holidays should make us ask ourselves is, are we doing our part?